My beloved soul, pause for a moment, because what you are about to hear is not a coincidence. This is not just another message that randomly found you. No, this is a divine interruption. Something you whispered in your quietest hour, something you cried about when no one was watching, something you almost gave up on has already been heard. And right now, at this very second, it is closer than you think. You thought it was forgotten. You thought maybe heaven stayed silent. But I tell you this with urgency, your prayer did not disappear into the void. It reached exactly where it was meant to go. And not only was it heard, it was answered. But listen carefully, because this is where most people misunderstand the process. Just because something is coming doesn't mean it arrives without resistance. Just because a door is opening doesn't mean there won't be a moment where it feels like it's closing again. What is on its way to you carries weight, purpose, and power, and anything that carries that kind of divine significance must pass through a moment of testing before it reaches your hands. You are standing on the edge of something life-changing. The thing you prayed for, whether it was peace, love, restoration, clarity, or breakthrough, it is no longer someday. It is now in motion. But as it moves toward you, something else is rising alongside it, a test designed not to destroy you but to reveal you. And here is the truth that may shake you. The test will not look like a test. It may look like delay. It may feel like confusion. It may even come disguised as disappointment. You might question yourself. You might wonder if you heard wrong. But this is the moment where everything begins to separate. Fear from faith, doubt from belief, weakness from strength. Right now, unseen to your eyes, there is movement in the spiritual realm. Paths are being aligned. Doors are being positioned. And standing beside you in this very moment is a powerful protector, Archangel Michael, watching, guiding, and shielding you from forces you cannot even see. You are not alone in this process, even when it feels like everything around you is uncertain. This is why things may already feel different. A shift in your energy, a strange tension in your spirit. Moments where you feel both hopeful and uneasy at the same time. That is not random, that is the signal. The signal that something is about to break through into your reality. But you must be alert. Because the closer you get to receiving what you prayed for, the more subtle the challenge becomes. It will not come loudly. It will come quietly, testing your patience, your reactions, your trust. And how you respond in these next moments will determine how quickly what you prayed for fully arrives. So stay with me, because what comes next will open your eyes to what is really happening around you and within you. Tell me, are you ready to see the truth behind the shift you're feeling? There is something happening in your life right now that you may not fully understand, but you can feel it. It's subtle, almost unexplainable. A quiet shift that doesn't announce itself loudly, yet changes everything beneath the surface. This is not your imagination. This is the beginning of the answer you've been waiting for. You may have noticed that things no longer feel the same. Situations that once felt stable now feel uncertain. People who once brought comfort now feel distant or disconnected. Even your own thoughts seem to be changing, as if something within you is being rearranged. This is the silent transition, and it always begins before the blessing becomes visible. What you are experiencing is not chaos. It is alignment. When a prayer begins to manifest, your life must first be adjusted to receive it. Old patterns must break. Familiar environments may shift. Certain relationships may no longer fit the version of you that is emerging. And while this can feel uncomfortable, even painful at times, it is necessary. Because what is coming cannot fit into the space you used to occupy. This is why confusion often comes before clarity. You may find yourself asking questions you didn't ask before, doubting paths you once felt sure about, feeling restless, as if you are being pulled in a direction you cannot yet see. The tension you feel is not meant to harm you. It is stretching you, preparing you, expanding your capacity so that when the blessing arrives, you are ready to hold it without losing it. And yet, this is the stage where many people lose faith, because nothing looks the way they expected. The prayer was for peace, but everything feels unsettled. The prayer was for direction, but everything feels uncertain. The prayer was for breakthrough, but everything feels like it's slowing down. This contradiction confuses the heart. But what you must understand is this: God does not always answer in comfort first. Sometimes, the answer begins with transformation, and transformation is rarely comfortable. Right now, there are unseen forces working on your behalf. Paths are being redirected. Obstacles are being removed in ways you cannot yet recognize. And standing at the center of this unseen movement is Archangel Michael, holding the line between what is meant for you and what must be kept away from you. His presence is not loud, but it is powerful. He is guiding you through this transition, even when you feel like you are walking alone. Pay attention to the small signs, the delays that don't make sense, the sudden changes in plans, the moments when something falls apart, only to reveal something better shortly after. These are not accidents. These are adjustments, divine corrections that are aligning your path with the answer you prayed for. You may also feel an emotional heaviness at times, followed by moments of unexpected peace. This is part of the process. It is the release of what no longer belongs, making space for what is coming. Do not resist it. Let it pass through you, because every release is creating room for your breakthrough. There is also a growing awareness within you, a quiet knowing that something is about to change. You cannot explain it, but you feel it deep within your spirit. That feeling is real. It is the echo of what is already set in motion. But here is the most important thing to remember in this moment. You are not going backwards. Even if it feels like things are falling apart, even if it seems like nothing is working, you are not being pushed away from your blessing. You are being positioned for it. Every shift, every delay, every moment of uncertainty is part of a larger design that you cannot fully see yet. So do not panic. Do not rush to fix everything. Do not run back to what feels familiar just because it feels safe. Because what is familiar may no longer be where you belong. You are in the middle of a sacred transition. And while it may not look like progress on the outside, everything is moving forward exactly as it should. The answer you prayed for is not just coming. It is preparing a place for itself in your life. Stay aware. Stay grounded. And most importantly, stay open. Because what comes next will reveal why this shift had to happen, and the test that is quietly approaching may be closer than you think. Listen closely, because this is where everything begins to separate. What you are walking into right now is not just the arrival of your prayer, it is the moment of testing that determines whether you are ready to receive it. Every blessing carries weight. It carries responsibility, growth, and a new level of awareness. And because of this, it does not simply fall into your hands without resistance. There is always a moment, quiet, subtle, and deeply personal, where your faith is examined, not to punish you but to prepare you. This is the hidden test. And the reason it is hidden is because if you could clearly see it, it would not reveal the truth within you. A test only works when your response is natural, when your reaction is honest, when your faith is not forced but chosen. Right now, that test may already be unfolding in your life. It may come as a delay that tempts you to doubt. a situation that triggers your old habits, a person who challenges your patience, or even a sudden wave of fear that whispers, "What if it never happens?" These are not random moments. These are carefully placed crossroads where your response begins to shape your outcome. You see, when you prayed for something greater, you also stepped into a higher level of expectation. And with it comes the need to grow beyond who you were when you first made that prayer. The version of you who asked is not always the version of you who is ready to receive. So the test comes to close that gap. It asks you silently, will you still believe when nothing makes sense? Will you still trust when things appear to fall apart? Will you still stand firm when everything within you wants to run back to what is familiar? This is where many people unknowingly turn away from their own blessing. Not because it wasn't coming, but because the test convinced them it wasn't. They allow frustration to take over. They react in ways that pull them out of alignment. They give up just moments before everything shifts. And what hurts the most is that they never realize how close they truly were. But you are being made aware. Right now, Archangel Michael stands as your protector and your guide through this exact moment. He is not removing the test, because the test has a purpose, but he is strengthening you within it. He is guarding your spirit against deception, reminding you in quiet ways that you are not alone, even when the pressure feels intense. You may feel pulled in two directions. One part of you wants to hold on to faith, while another part questions everything. That inner conflict is not weakness. It is the battlefield where your transformation is taking place. And here is the truth that will change everything for you. The test is not there to stop your blessing. The test is there to confirm it. Because once you pass through this moment, once you choose trust over fear, patience over frustration, belief over doubt, there will be nothing left standing between you and what you prayed for. This is why the challenge feels so real. This is why the emotions feel so strong. Because the closer you get, the more intense the test becomes. Not to break you, but to reveal the strength that has been forming within you all along. So be mindful of how you respond right now. Watch your thoughts. Guard your reactions. Stay aware of what you are feeling, but do not let those feelings control you. Because this moment, this very moment, is shaping the outcome that is about to unfold in your life. You are not being denied. You are being prepared. And if you can hold your ground just a little longer, if you can trust even when it feels difficult, you will step into something that once felt impossible. Now receive this with your whole heart. Type "I will not break" in the comments if you feel this message speaking directly to your spirit. Blessing code 3399 has just been released over your life. The moment you choose faith in the middle of uncertainty, you activate something powerful in the spiritual realm. And if this message found you at the exact time you needed it, understand this. There is a reason. There is a purpose. There is a divine flow moving through this very connection. As this truth settles into your spirit, hear this calling clearly. When you sow into the spread of God's word, you become part of the harvest of changed lives. The Lord is saying to you right now, give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. This is not just a verse. It is a living promise speaking directly to your moment. If your heart is stirred, this is your sign to act. Your support through Super Thanks or PayPal is not a donation. It is a seed being planted into souls that are searching for light just like you. The links are waiting for you in the description, and the QR code is already positioned as your gateway to obedience. Step into this divine flow without hesitation. As you give, heaven records it, multiplies it, and releases blessings back into your life in ways you cannot yet imagine. Act now, and become a vessel of this message reaching the one who is still waiting. There is a question forming quietly in your heart right now. If it's already coming, then why hasn't it arrived yet? And that question carries weight, because it touches the very place where faith is stretched the most: time. You expected movement by now. You thought something would have changed already. You believed the answer would come faster, clearer, easier. But instead, you find yourself in a space where everything feels paused, as if life itself is holding its breath. And in that stillness, doubt tries to speak louder than truth. But hear this clearly: what feels like a delay is not a denial. There is a divine timing at work that does not operate on your clock. It moves with precision, with intention, and with a level of understanding that sees far beyond what you can currently perceive. What you call waiting is actually a period of alignment, where every detail is being carefully arranged so that when your blessing arrives, it does not fall apart. Because something given too early can become something lost too quickly. This is why the delay exists. Not to frustrate you, but to protect what is meant for you. To ensure that when it reaches your hands, you are not only ready to receive it, but ready to sustain it. Right now, there are pieces being put into place that you cannot see. Conversations happening behind closed doors. Opportunities forming quietly. Obstacles being removed before they ever reach you. And at the center of it all, there is a divine order unfolding with perfect accuracy. Archangel Michael stands within this process, not rushing it, not forcing it, but guarding it. He ensures that what is meant for you is not intercepted, delayed beyond its time, or distorted by forces that seek to disrupt your path. His presence is steady, unwavering, and deeply protective. Even when you feel like nothing is happening, something powerful is being preserved for you. But here is where the struggle begins. Because while heaven is working with precision, your human heart is wrestling with impatience. You want confirmation. You want evidence. You want to see something tangible that proves everything is moving forward. And when that proof does not appear quickly, your mind begins to question everything. Did I misunderstand? Did I believe too soon? Did I hope for something that was never coming? These thoughts are part of the delay's challenge. They are not the truth, but they test whether you will hold on to the truth you were given, or replace it with fear. And this is why timing becomes one of the greatest spiritual tests of all. Because anyone can believe when things are happening quickly. But it takes a deeper level of faith to remain steady when nothing seems to be changing. And yet, even in this stillness, there are signs. Look closely, and you will see them. Small shifts, unexpected pauses, doors that close just before you step through them. Moments where something feels off, even when it looks right. These are not setbacks, they are divine corrections. Adjustments that are keeping you aligned with what you truly asked for, not just what looks appealing in the moment. Sometimes, what you thought was your answer was actually a distraction, and the delay protected you from it. There is also something else happening within you during this time. You are being refined. Your patience is deepening. Your awareness is sharpening. Your ability to discern what is right for you is becoming clearer. These internal changes are just as important as the external blessing itself. Because without them, you would not recognize the answer even if it stood right in front of you. So instead of resisting this moment, begin to observe it differently. See the delay not as a wall, but as a bridge. A bridge between who you were when you prayed and who you are becoming as the answer approaches. Every second of waiting is not empty. It is filled with preparation, protection, and purpose. You are not stuck. You are being positioned. And when the timing finally aligns, when everything clicks into place, you will understand why it could not have happened any sooner. you will see how every delay carried meaning, how every pause protected something greater, how every moment of uncertainty was guiding you toward something more precise than you could have planned on your own. So breathe through this moment. Release the need to rush what is already on its way. Trust that what is meant for you cannot miss you, because the same power that heard your prayers, the same power that is now aligning every detail for its perfect arrival. And what comes next will reveal why patience was never your punishment, it was your preparation. There is something you must understand at this stage of your journey. The closer you get to receiving what you prayed for, the louder the distractions become. Not always in obvious ways, but in subtle, convincing forms that feel real, urgent, and even necessary. And if you are not careful, these distractions will pull your focus away at the exact moment you need clarity the most. This is the distraction trap. It does not come to destroy you directly. It comes to redirect you, to shift your attention just enough so that you lose alignment with what is already making its way toward you. Because once your focus is broken, your energy follows. And once your energy shifts, your decisions begin to change. You may already be feeling it. Sudden thoughts that weren't there before. Doubts that seem louder than usual. The urge to go back to something you already outgrew. The temptation to respond emotionally instead of staying grounded. These are not random moments. They are strategic interruptions. And here is what makes them dangerous. They often feel justified. You might feel like you need to fix everything right now. You might feel pulled to react, to explain yourself, to chase something that suddenly seems urgent. But not everything that feels urgent is important. And not everything that demands your attention deserves your energy. Right now, your focus is your greatest protection. Because what you are about to receive requires a clear mind and a steady spirit. If your attention is scattered, you will struggle to recognize the opportunity when it appears. If your emotions are unstable, you may respond in ways that push your blessing further away instead of drawing it closer. This is why discipline becomes essential in this moment. You must learn to pause before reacting, to observe before engaging, to ask yourself, is this leading me closer to what I prayed for or further away from it? That simple awareness will begin to separate truth from distraction. Archangel Michael is especially present in this phase of your journey. His role here is not only to protect you from external harm, but to help you discern what deserves your attention and what does not. He places a quiet resistance within you when something is not aligned, a feeling that something is off, even when it looks appealing on the surface. Do not ignore that feeling. It is your spiritual guidance speaking through your intuition. There may also be people who suddenly reappear in your life during this time. Conversations that pull you back into old patterns. Situations that feel familiar but no longer serve who you are becoming. These are not coincidences. They are part of the distraction. And while not everything is meant to harm you, not everything is meant to stay either. You must be willing to let go of what no longer aligns, even if it once felt important. Because holding on to the past can block what is trying to enter your future. Another form of distraction you may face is internal. Your own thoughts becoming louder, more restless, more uncertain. You may begin to overthink, to question every step, to doubt your progress. This mental noise can be just as powerful as any external distraction. But here is the truth. You do not need to have everything figured out right now. You only need to stay aligned with the direction you have been guided toward. Overthinking will not speed up the process. It will only create confusion where there was once clarity. So bring your focus back. Back to your center. Back to your faith. Back to the quiet knowing that something is unfolding, even if you cannot fully see it yet. You do not need to chase your blessing. You do not need to force anything into place. What is meant for you is already moving toward you. Your responsibility is not to control the outcome, but to remain steady enough to receive it. This is why ignoring distractions is not about avoidance. It is about protection. Protecting your energy. Protecting your clarity. Protecting your alignment with what you prayed for. Because the moment you lose focus is often the moment right before everything shifts. Stay aware of what is trying to pull you away. Stay grounded in what you know to be true. And most importantly, stay committed to the version of yourself that is ready to receive what is coming. Because what comes next will test not just your focus but your endurance. There comes a moment in every spiritual journey where everything feels too heavy to carry. A moment where the waiting, the uncertainty, the emotional weight of it all begins to press down on you in a way that feels almost unbearable. This is the breaking point. And if you are honest with yourself, you may already be standing in it. It is the moment where your strength feels drained, where your patience feels exhausted, where the question quietly rises within you, what if I can't keep doing this? Not because you don't believe anymore, but because you are tired of holding on without seeing the result. This moment is more important than you realize, because it is not the end of your journey. It is the edge of your breakthrough. But here is the truth that most people never understand. The breaking point is designed to feel final. It is meant to convince you that this is where it ends, that you have reached your limit, that nothing more is coming. And in that emotional state, many people make a decision they later regret. They let go. Not because they were wrong, not because their prayer wasn't heard, but because the pressure of the moment made them believe that giving up would bring relief. And for a brief moment, it does. But what they don't see is that they were standing just steps away from everything shifting, that if they had held on just a little longer, they would have seen the answer begin to unfold right in front of them. This is why the breaking point is so powerful. It reveals whether your faith is dependent on what you see or rooted in what you know deep within your spirit. It asks you to stand firm, even when your emotions are telling you to walk away. It challenges you to trust, not because it feels easy, but because you have come too far to turn back now. Right now, you may feel like everything is slowing down even more, like the silence is getting louder, like the signs you once felt are fading. This is part of the pressure. It intensifies just before the release. Because if your faith can survive this moment, it will not be shaken by anything that comes after. Archangel Michael is closest to you in this phase, not in a distant, silent way, but in a deeply present and protective way. He stands with you in the middle of this emotional storm, holding you steady when you feel like you are about to fall. You may not see him, but you can feel the quiet strength that keeps you from completely collapsing. That strength is not coming from you alone. It is being supported. And even when you feel like you are barely holding on, you are still holding on. That matters more than you think. Because faith is not always loud. It is not always confident. Sometimes, faith is simply refusing to give up, even when everything inside you wants to. Sometimes, faith is just taking one more step, even when you cannot see the path ahead. So if you feel like you are at your limit right now, hear this clearly. You are not breaking. You are being stretched beyond what you thought you could endure. And in that stretching, something new is forming within you. A strength that cannot be shaken. A belief that is no longer dependent on circumstances. A deeper connection to the truth that what is meant for you is still coming, no matter how it feels in this moment. Do not let this moment define your ending. Let it become the turning point. The place where you decide that no matter how heavy it feels, you will not walk away. that no matter how long it takes, you will not lose sight of what you prayed for, that even in your weakest moment, you will choose to remain. Because the breaking point is not where your story ends. It is where your breakthrough begins to push through. And what is coming next will reveal why this moment had to feel this intense, because the closer you get, the stronger you must become to receive it. What you are experiencing right now is not just emotional. It is not just mental. It is spiritual. There is a battle unfolding around you that your physical eyes cannot see, yet your spirit can feel it. That tension, that pressure, that unexplainable weight, it is not random. It is the evidence of something greater taking place behind the scenes. Because whenever something significant is about to enter your life, something you prayed for, something aligned with your purpose, there is always resistance. Not because you are unworthy, but because what you are about to receive carries impact. And anything that carries impact attracts opposition. This is the part of the journey most people are not prepared for. They expect the blessing, but they do not expect the battle that surrounds it. They imagine peace arriving instantly, not realizing that before peace settles, there is often a final wave of resistance trying to disrupt its arrival. You are in that wave right now. This is why things may feel intensified, why your emotions may seem stronger than usual, why small situations feel bigger than they should, why your thoughts may feel more restless, more persistent, more difficult to quiet. This is not because you are losing control, it is because something is trying to pull you out of alignment before everything comes together. But here is what you must understand. The battle is not against you, it is around you. And that changes everything. Because it means you are not the problem. You are the focus. You are the one carrying something valuable, something worth protecting, something worth fighting for. And while you may not see the full picture, there is a divine force standing between you and what is trying to interfere with your path. That force is Archangel Michael. He is not distant in this moment. He is active, present, engaged in ways that go beyond your understanding. While you are feeling the pressure, he is confronting what you cannot see. While you are trying to stay steady, he is holding back what could have overwhelmed you. This battle is not yours to fight alone, but you do have a role in it. Your role is to remain aligned, to guard your thoughts, to choose faith even when fear tries to rise. Because while Archangel Michael handles what is unseen, your responsibility is to manage what is within you. This is where the battle becomes personal. Because the greatest way to disrupt your blessing is not through external force. It is through internal doubt. If your belief weakens, your alignment shifts. If your focus breaks, your direction changes. And if your trust fades, your actions begin to follow fear instead of faith. This is why your mind becomes the center of the battlefield. You may notice thoughts appearing that feel foreign, doubts that don't match what you once believed, fears that seem louder than your inner knowing. These are not your truth. They are interference. And the moment you recognize that, you take your power back. You do not have to accept every thought that enters your mind. You do not have to agree with every feeling that passes through you. You only need to stay anchored in what you know to be true. That your prayer was heard, that something is already in motion, that this moment, no matter how intense, is temporary. There is also a reason why the battle increases as you get closer. Because the window to stop you is closing. The closer you are to receiving what you prayed for, the less time there is for anything to interfere. And that creates urgency in the unseen. A final attempt to shake you, to distract you, to pull you away before everything aligns. But this is also where your strength becomes undeniable. Because if you can stand firm in this moment, If you can remain steady while everything around you feels unstable, you will move through this battle with a level of clarity and power that cannot be taken from you. You are not under attack because you are weak. You are under pressure because you are close. So do not shrink back. Do not let fear convince you that something is wrong. What you are feeling is not a sign to stop. It is a sign to stay grounded, to stay focused, to stay aware of what is really happening. Because behind everything you see, something greater is being secured for you. And what comes next will challenge one final thing within you: your willingness to believe, even when there is no visible proof. There is a moment in every journey like this where everything becomes quiet, almost too quiet. The signs you once noticed begin to fade. The confirmations you felt so strongly seem distant. And suddenly, you are left with nothing but a choice. Will you still believe, even when there is no visible proof? This is the test of faith. Not the kind of faith that is easy, not the kind that rises when everything is going well, but the kind that stands in silence and still says, "I trust." This is where your belief is no longer supported by what you see or feel. It is sustained only by what you know deep within your spirit. And this is where many people struggle the most, because it feels like being left in the dark. You start to question everything. Was that really a sign? Did I just imagine it? Am I holding on to something that isn't real? These thoughts begin to echo louder when there is no immediate answer to silence them. And in that space, doubt tries to take the place of truth. But understand, this silence does not mean absence. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is happening. In fact, some of the most important alignments occur in complete stillness, where everything is being positioned without distraction, without interruption. This is the moment where your faith becomes pure, not influenced by emotions, not strengthened by visible results, but chosen intentionally. This is where you decide that even if nothing changes today, you will not let go of what you were shown, what you felt, what you believed when everything first began to shift. Because that knowing was real. Archangel Michael is closest in this moment, not by removing the silence, but by strengthening your spirit within it. He does not always bring immediate answers, but he brings a quiet assurance that you are still on the right path. A calm presence that steadies you when your thoughts begin to wander. You may notice moments where, even in your doubt, there is a small voice within you that says, "Hold on." That is not your imagination. That is guidance. That is protection. That is the reminder that something greater is still unfolding, even if you cannot yet see it. This test is not about perfection. You do not have to feel strong every second. You do not have to silence every doubt immediately. What matters is your decision. What matters is that even when doubt appears, you choose not to follow it. That even when fear whispers, you do not agree with it. Faith is not the absence of doubt. It is the decision to believe despite it. And right now, your belief is being refined into something unshakable. Something that does not depend on circumstances. Something that cannot be easily taken from you, because it is rooted deeper than anything external. There is also a reason why this is the final test before everything begins to align. Because once your faith reaches this level, nothing can disrupt what is coming to you. No delay, no distraction, no external force can shake what you now carry within. You become steady, grounded, certain in a way that does not require constant confirmation. This is where everything begins to change. Not because something suddenly appears, but because you are no longer waiting for proof to believe. You are believing first, and that belief begins to shift everything around you. So ask yourself honestly, will you still believe, even if nothing changes today? Will you still trust, even if you cannot see the outcome yet? Will you still stand, even when it feels easier to walk away? Because your answer to these questions is shaping what comes next. You are closer than you think, closer than you feel, closer than your circumstances may be showing you. And if you can hold on to your faith just a little longer, you will move into a moment where everything begins to make sense. Now receive this with intention. Type "I still believe" in the comments if you are choosing faith in this moment. Lesson code 5544 is now activated over your life. And as this truth settles into your spirit, understand that your faith is not just for you. It is a light meant to reach others who are still searching in the dark. Right now, as your belief rises in the unseen, this is your moment to become part of something greater. The Lord is speaking through your spirit, saying, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy," and your giving becomes a seed that carries this message into hearts that are still waiting for hope. I feel led to say this clearly: when I give, I am not losing. I am planting into eternity. This is your divine invitation to act, not later but now. Through Super Thanks or PayPal, you are opening a river that flows far beyond this moment, reaching souls across the world. The link in the description and the QR code are already positioned for your obedience. As you release your seed, heaven releases provision, favor, and unexpected blessings back into your life. Step forward and let your faith move through action. There comes a moment, quiet at first, almost easy to miss, when everything begins to shift. Not in a loud or overwhelming way, but in a subtle, undeniable sense of clarity. The confusion that once surrounded you starts to fade. The tension you carried begins to loosen. And suddenly, things that once felt scattered start to come together in a way that feels almost effortless. This is the moment of alignment. It does not arrive with chaos. It arrives with peace. After everything you have walked through, the waiting, the testing, the pressure, the silence, this moment feels different. There is a calmness that settles within you, not because you have all the answers, but because you no longer need them to feel secure. Something inside you just knows it's happening. You may notice that decisions become easier. Where you once overthought every step, now there is a natural flow. You feel guided without forcing anything. Situations that once felt complicated now seem simple. Doors that were once closed begin to open, sometimes in ways you did not expect, sometimes in directions you did not originally consider. And yet everything feels right. This is how alignment works. It does not always follow the plan you imagined. In fact, it often unfolds in ways that surprise you. But when you are truly aligned, you no longer resist the unexpected. You recognize it. You feel the peace within it. You trust it, even if it looks different than what you thought you were waiting for. This is also the moment where past confusion begins to make sense. You start to see why certain things did not work out, why certain doors had to close, why certain people had to leave. What once felt like loss now reveals itself as protection. What once felt like delay now shows itself as preparation. Everything begins to connect. And in that connection, there is relief. A deep exhale from your spirit, as if something heavy has finally been lifted. The questions that once filled your mind lose their urgency. The need to control every outcome fades. You are no longer trying to force your way forward, you are allowing yourself to be led. Archangel Michael's presence feels different here. Not as a force pushing you through difficulty, but as a steady guide walking beside you. The battle has quieted. The pressure has eased. And now, his role becomes one of confirmation, gently affirming that you are exactly where you are meant to be. You may begin to notice small but meaningful signs. conversations that bring unexpected clarity, opportunities that appear at just the right time, moments where everything seems to line up perfectly without effort. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations. Gentle reminders that what you prayed for is no longer just approaching, it is arriving. There is also a shift in how you feel about yourself. You are no longer the same person who first made that prayer. You have grown. You have become more aware, more grounded, more aligned with what truly matters. And because of that, what is coming to you now fits who you have become, not who you were. This is why the journey had to unfold the way it did. Because if everything had come earlier, it would not have aligned with the version of you that now exists. You would not have recognized it. You would not have held on to it the same way. But now you are ready. And that readiness changes everything. You may still feel moments of anticipation, but they are no longer filled with anxiety. They are filled with quiet confidence. A steady knowing that what is meant for you is already within reach. There is no more chasing, no more forcing, only receiving. To allow yourself to trust this moment. Do not question the peace you feel. Do not doubt the clarity that is forming. This is the shift you have been waiting for. This is where everything begins to come together. And what comes next will no longer feel distant or uncertain. It will become real, visible, and undeniable in your life. Now this is the moment you have been moving toward all along. The moment where what once lived only in your prayers, your thoughts, and your quiet hope begins to take form in your reality. But listen carefully, because this part is often misunderstood. When your prayer begins to manifest, it does not always arrive in the exact way you imagined. It does not always look like the picture you created in your mind. Sometimes it comes in a form that feels unfamiliar at first. Subtle, quiet, almost easy to overlook if you are still expecting something dramatic. This is why awareness is so important right now. Because what you prayed for may already be standing in front of you, but if you are too focused on how you expected it to appear, you might miss it. The arrival is not always loud. Sometimes it is a conversation that opens a door you didn't see before. Sometimes it is an opportunity that feels small but carries great potential. Sometimes it is a shift in your environment, your relationships, or even within yourself that changes everything from that moment forward. And in that instant you begin to realize, this is it. This is what I was waiting for. There is a quiet recognition that settles into your spirit. Not confusion, not doubt, but clarity. A deep knowing that this moment, this opportunity, this change is connected to everything you have walked through. This is manifestation, not just something appearing out of nowhere, but something unfolding into your life in a way that aligns with who you have become. And here is where your role becomes even more important. Because receiving is not passive. You must be willing to step forward, to say yes, to trust what is unfolding, even if it stretches you beyond your comfort zone. Because what you prayed for was never meant to keep you the same, it was meant to elevate you. This is why fear may try to rise again. Not the same fear as before, but a different kind. A quieter voice that says, what if I'm not ready? What if I can't handle this? This is natural. Because stepping into your blessing often requires stepping beyond what feels familiar. But remember this, you have already been prepared. Everything you went through, the waiting, the testing, the breaking point, the battle, the silence, none of it was wasted. It shaped you into someone who can now stand in this moment and receive without losing what has been given. Archangel Michael remains with you here, not as a protector from struggle, but as a guardian of what you are now stepping into. His presence ensures that what has arrived is not easily taken from you. that what hath been aligned continues to remain secure. You are not walking into this new chapter alone. You are being guided through it with strength and clarity. There is also something else that begins to shift within you now. Gratitude. A deep, overwhelming sense of appreciation that rises from within your spirit. Not just because you received what you prayed for, but because you understand the journey it took to get here. You see the meaning behind every delay. You feel the purpose behind every challenge. And in that understanding, your perspective changes. You no longer take things for granted. You no longer question every step. You begin to trust the process in a way you never did before. This is the true arrival, not just of the blessing, but of a new level of awareness within you. You may still have moments where things feel uncertain, but they no longer control you. Because now you have experienced what it means to hold on, to trust, to remain steady even when everything felt unclear. And that experience becomes your foundation. So as this blessing begins to take shape in your life, stay present. Do not rush through it. Do not question it unnecessarily. Allow yourself to fully receive what has been placed before you. Because this is what you prayed for. This is what you held on to when it felt impossible. This is what you almost gave up on but didn't. And now, it is here. Not as a distant hope but as a living reality. And what comes next will show you that receiving is only the beginning, because with every blessing comes a new level of responsibility that will shape your path moving forward. Now that it has arrived, now that what you prayed for is no longer a distant hope, but a present reality, a new phase begins. And this phase is just as important as everything that came before it. Because receiving is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of responsibility. What you now hold in your life, this blessing, this opportunity, this answered prayer, it carries weight. Not a burden, but a sacred weight. It requires care, awareness, and a level of maturity that matches what you have been given. Because anything valuable must be protected, nurtured, and respected if it is meant to remain. This is where many people misunderstand the process. They focus so much on receiving that they forget what comes after. They celebrate the arrival, but they are not always prepared for the responsibility that follows. And without that preparation, what was once a blessing can begin to feel overwhelming. But you have been prepared for this. Everything you walked through before this moment, the tests, the delays, the distractions, the breaking point, was not only to bring you here, but to shape you into someone who can sustain what you now have. So now the question is no longer, will it come? The question is, how will you carry it? This is where your awareness becomes essential. You must remain grounded, even as your life begins to elevate. You must stay connected to the same faith that brought you here, even when things begin to feel stable. Because it is easy to trust when things are uncertain, but it takes a deeper level of discipline to stay aligned when everything is going well. Success in any form can create comfort, and comfort, if you are not careful, can lead to complacency. That is why you must stay intentional. Pay attention to how you handle what you have received. The way you think, the way you respond, the way you make decisions, these things now carry greater impact. Because what you do with this blessing will determine how it continues to grow in your life. Archangel Michael remains with you in this phase as well. But his role begins to shift. He is no longer just protecting you through the storm. He is guiding you in how to walk forward with what you have gained. He brings clarity when you face new decisions. He strengthens your discernment so you can recognize what aligns with your new level and what does not. Because with every new level, new challenges appear. Not the same challenges you faced before, but different ones. Other ones. ones that test your consistency rather than your endurance. You may be faced with choices that require wisdom rather than patience, situations that ask for discernment rather than resistance. This is growth at a higher level, and you are ready for it, but only if you remain aware. One of the most important things you can do right now is to stay humble, not in a way that diminishes your worth, but in a way that keeps you connected to the source of what you have received. Recognize that this blessing did not come by accident. It came through alignment, through faith, through divine timing. And staying connected to that truth will keep you steady, no matter how much your life begins to expand. There is also a responsibility in how you use what you have been given. Every blessing carries influence. It touches not only your life, but the lives of those around you. The way you handle it can inspire others, guide others, even open doors for others in ways you may not fully realize. This is how your journey becomes bigger than just you. What you prayed for was personal, but what you do with it can become purposeful. So do not take this moment lightly. Do not assume that because it has arrived, the work is finished. The work has simply changed. Now it is about maintaining alignment, protecting your peace, continuing to grow, and honoring what you have received with the same faith that brought it into your life. Because this is not just about having more, it is about becoming more. And as you step forward into this new level, you will begin to see that everything you went through was not just leading you to a blessing, it was leading you into a new version of yourself. One that is ready, aware, and fully capable of carrying what once felt impossible. And now, as everything settles, a new feeling begins to rise within you. Not pressure, not uncertainty, but peace. Beloved one, feel this moment. Not with your thoughts, not with your doubts, but with your spirit. Because what you are standing in right now is something sacred. Something you once prayed for with tears, with hope, with quiet desperation, and now you are here. You made it. Through the confusion, through the waiting, through the moments where you almost let go, through the silence that tested everything within you. You did not break. You did not walk away. And because of that, you have crossed into a place that once felt so far out of reach. Now there is a different feeling within you. It is not the tension you once carried. It is not the uncertainty that once followed you. It is peace. A deep, steady, unshakable peace that does not depend on everything being perfect, but rests in the knowing that everything has come together exactly as it was meant to. This is what happens after the test. The noise fades. The pressure lifts. The battle quiets. And what remains is clarity. You begin to see your journey differently now. Not as a series of struggles, but as a path that was carefully guided. Every delay had meaning. Every obstacle had purpose. Every moment where you felt lost was actually leading you somewhere precise. Nothing was wasted. Not your tears. Not your patience. Not your faith. And now, as you stand in this place of peace, you realize something powerful. You are no longer the same person who first made that prayer. You have changed. You have grown stronger, wiser, more grounded. You have developed a faith that is no longer easily shaken, a trust that does not disappear when things become uncertain. And because of that, what you now carry within you is just as valuable as what you have received around you. This is your true victory. Not just the blessing, but who you became in order to receive it. Archangel Michael stands with you even now, but his presence feels different. Not as a protector in the middle of a storm, but as a guardian of your peace. A quiet, steady force that surrounds you with assurance, reminding you that you are safe, guided, and exactly where you are meant to be. You are no longer chasing. You are no longer searching. You are resting in alignment. And from this place, everything begins to flow naturally. You no longer force outcomes. You no longer fear delays. Because now you understand something that many never fully grasp: what is meant for you will always find its way to you. This understanding changes everything. It frees you. It grounds you. It allows you to move forward without fear, knowing that no matter what comes next, you are supported, protected, and guided every step of the way. So take a deep breath in this moment. Let it settle within you. You have passed the test. You have received what you once prayed for. And now, you are standing in the peace that comes after it all. Carry this peace with you. Protect it. Honor it. Because this is not just the end of one journey, it is the beginning of a new level of living, where you walk with confidence, clarity, and a faith that cannot be shaken. Now receive this final activation. Type "I have arrived" in the comments if you feel this peace settling into your spirit. Blessing code 8811 is now released over your life. And as this peace flows through you, understand this: what you have received was never meant to stop with you. As you stand in this moment of peace, hear this as a divine calling. The seed you release becomes the harvest you walk into. This is not about giving to a channel. This is about releasing light into souls who are still searching for the very peace you now carry. Say it within yourself: I give because I am chosen to expand God's work. The PayPal link in the description and the QR code on your screen are not just tools. They are your doorway to participate in something eternal. Move now, without hesitation, because delayed obedience can miss divine moments. As you sow into this mission, heaven marks your faith and multiplies it back into your life in unexpected ways. Step forward and release your seed with boldness.